So first, I just want to say it is an honor to be standing up here, and I'd really like to sing congratulations to both Dan and Amy. And I just want to say, Amy, you look absolutely beautiful. The bridesmaids, everyone looks so beautiful in the green dresses and everything. And Dan looks like he's pretty happy to be here too. So thanks to everyone who has helped out with the wedding, doing all the behind-the-scenes work to make today possible. And also thank you to everyone in attendance for coming out to celebrate what is going to be a long-lasting and wonderful marriage. So I've known Dan for about 8 years now. We actually met during the summer before going into high school. So when high school started, we were both on the basketball team together, and we had Spanish class together. And I think through our mutual love for basketball and our hatred for Spanish, we became really close friends. Towards the end of high school, Dan actually got me my first job as a busboy and eventually a waiter at the country club in St. Clair. And we ended up working there together for 2.5 summers. And although it wasn't, always the greatest job, I will always look back at, those summers with a smile on my face. Dan always went out of his way to answer any questions that I had and, help me out a little bit if I was getting a little behind with my tables. So before my shifts, I would sometimes dread going into work. But if I knew, Dan was going to be working there with me, I would always look forward to going in. Dan has the best sense of humor out of anyone I've ever met, and I'm not just saying that, he really does. His laugh is contagious, and with all the jokes and the fun that we had, it never really felt like we were at work when we were working. So let me tell you a story. We went out for a movie a few years back. Dan and I were there, and there was a couple of other friends with us. And after the movie, we were driving around looking for something to do. And then out of nowhere, Dan's like, we should just do something crazy. And Dan isn't really the most, crazy guy that I know, so I wasn't really sure what he meant. And then I'm like, what do you want to go grab a large ice cream or something? No. So Dan says we should do something crazier. Let's go rob a bank. I'm like, whoa, Dan. So keep in mind that Dan has never stolen anything in his life. Well, I take that back. He might have stolen a bag of kettle corn one time, and he might have stolen Amy's heart. Just the second corn. So we all just missed it, and we kept trying to think of something to do, but Dan kept saying he wanted to do something crazy. Let's go rob a bank, let's go do something crazy. All right. So we don't find anything, to do, so we ended up heading home. And both Dan and I both had to use the restroom, so we were looking for some place to stop. So we ended up stopping at a Tim Hortons on the way home. So as we walk in, we both notice that there's not a single person in the entire restaurant. There's no customers, there's no managers, there's no people working, cashiers, nothing. And the place is completely empty. Then we see a truly majestic sight. And keep in mind, we were both pretty hungry at the time. But the entire counter was full of baked goods. There was just baked goods everywhere and nobody watching it. And keep in mind, Dan had been talking about doing something crazy, and we walk into an empty restaurant with, baked goods as far as the eye can see. So, if Dan wanted to start a life of crime, this was his golden opportunity. So we were in shock. So we, both went and used the restroom, and we walked out. Still, there was no one around, and the baked goods were just sitting out. And, then we made a decision. We ignored the baked goods, and we walked out to the car, and we headed home. So, I don't know all the crazy implications of Dan wanting to, rob a bank that night, but over the years, through experiences like this, Dan has always been a great coworker, leader, teammate, and friend. I have a million stories that I could tell about all the great times that we've had. I know that if our friends are getting together and Dan's going to be there, everyone is going to have, the time of their life. Dan makes the everyday events in life not feel so routine. He might joke about robbing a bank now and then, but he has a strong character and has always been the best role model for me in my own life. And based on those things, I know that he's going to be an amazing husband. I really feel blessed, and I'm lucky enough to have a really great friendship with both Dan and Amy. Seeing them here and now, as well as over the course of the last few years, I can really say that they are a perfect match for each other. I love you both so much, and I want to raise a toast to the best decision that Dan has ever made, marrying Amy. So to Dan and Amy, to a wonderful marriage for all the years to come.
Dan and Amy.
Cheers! Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers!
I'd like to now